to play the shitty games that suck ass. He'd rather have a buffalo take a diarrhea dump in his ear. He'd rather eat the rotten asshole of a roadkill skunk and down it with beer. He's the angriest gamer you've ever heard. He's the angry Nintendo nerd. He's the angry Atari Sega nerd. He's the angry video game nerd.
How can I do this? How can I live up to the massive duty that has fallen upon me? My destiny has emerged, and the ultimate reckoning has drawn near. I must not fail. I must look the demon in the face! Not you, you piece of shit! I'm talking this. This piece of paper is what will propel me into my final encounter with my arch nemesis, the unholy of asses, the shit from the pit, the nightmare in 6 colors, the rainbow of death, the laughing, joking numbnuts, LJN. I'm about to embark on a mission to come to terms with LJN once and for all. As you can see here on my wall of LJN kills, I've already eliminated several of these foul, catastrophic fuck nuggets. But now's the time to take care of the rest. And this document here was sent to me from LJN. They're still around? Well, not exactly. It's complicated. So before I tell you what's at stake here, let's go into a little background. First of all, who are and who were LJN? We all know their distinct brand of games, the same way you'd recognize the specific smell of your dog's farts. You take one ghastly whiff and you know exactly where it came from your dog's anus. But LJN was like the master of disguise. As a kid, when I rented these games from the video store, say Back to the Future or Roger Rabbit, nothing seemed immediately wrong. The graphics usually seemed nice, and they all had a playability factor. But the further you'd go, the worse it would get. Like in the final stage of Back to the Future, when you're driving the DeLorean, if you lose, you start back at the beginning of the game, no matter how many continues you have. What bullshit. The NES library had plenty worse games by other publishers, so LJN was definitely not the bottom of the turd totem pole, but that made their crimes even more detestable, because they tricked you into thinking the games were good, especially when so many of them were based on well-known franchises. With other shitty games, you wouldn't waste as much of your time. You'd realize it's shitty right away and turn it off. But LJN had that sneaky style to rope you in. But even though they had a distinct brand, their games were actually made by several different development companies, so LJN was only a publisher. In a sense, they were the colon and the developers were the anus. The companies, just to name a few, were Beam Software, Atlas, and the one that developed perhaps the worst one, Bill and Ted, was called Rocket Science. Wow, damn, I'm glad they didn't actually go into rocket science. The one that's the most shocking to know of is Rare, who made Beetlejuice, Nightmare on Elm Street, and a few others. They're probably better known for non-LJN games like Battletoads, and would eventually have a partnership with Nintendo on Killer Instinct and Donkey Kong Country. I would have never guessed such awesome games came from a company that had anything to do with LJN. So even though LJN was the publisher, their games are still called LJN games, in the same way that the 2014 Ninja Turtles movie was called a Michael Bay movie, even though he produced it and did not direct. But to answer the question, who exactly were LJN, we'd have to trace it all the way back to its founder, a guy named Jack Friedman. He started LJN as a toy company in 1970, and I've heard he named it after his employer, Norman J. Lewis, reversing his initials to LJN. That was until it officially became Laughing Joking Numbnuts. At first, LJN only made toys before branching into video games. In the 80s, I remember playing these toys, like the wrestling figures. So I had nothing but positive memories there. Guess they should have stuck with toys. So anyway, in 85, MCA bought LJN, but then in 90 sold it to Acclaim, who in 95 dissolved LJN, even though they used the name once again in 2000. As for Jack Friedman, in 90 he formed Toy Headquarters, THQ, eventually leaving and forming Jack's Pacific. And sad to say, Jack passed away in 2010. Rest in peace. So basically, the rights to LJN have been all over the place and lately have existed in sort of a phantom limbo. But this document from the current owners certifies me as the sole inheritance of the name LJN. How could this happen to me? With great power comes great responsibility, and with me as the head of LJN, I will undo the wrongs of the past and prove that there is gold at the end of this rainbow. While he's working on that, I'm going to get down to business and review the rest of the LJN library. It's like cleaning the cat piss stain on the back of the litter box. One of these days, you're just going to have to do it. But how many games are we talking about here? The LJN stamp appeared primarily on 3 consoles, the NES, Game Boy, and Super Nintendo, with a few lone poop nuggets. For reviewing purposes, I'll be grouping them into categories: movie-based games, sports games, Marvel games, wrestling games, and miscellaneous. In total, I've counted 67 games to the best of my research, including one game console, the LJN Video Art, which thankfully I've already covered. Yeah, that thing sucked. But anyway, the criteria is that every game must have the LJN logo on the box or the cartridge, with the exception of 2 that only have LJN on the copyright screen. And after I've finally acknowledged them all, I can move on with my life. First, let's talk about the movie-based games. Now, fortunately, I've already covered most of them, but there was also Terminator 2 Arcade on Game Boy, which I said very little about. But that's because there's nothing to say. Look at it. If I heard that, I'd think it was an Atari game. What's the point of taking an arcade and watering it down to Game Boy? I guess you can take it on the school bus, to the mall, to the arcade. I didn't talk about Beetlejuice on Game Boy, based on the cartoon. Uh-oh, the ghost got in the washing machine. They're fucking shit up. Gotta fight the clothes and the sheet ghost, which is, a sheet with a ghost inside. So that's the main goal. You have to fight all the ghosts, which is the opposite of what Beetlejuice normally does. Doesn't he haunt a house, not unhaunt it? What next? Are the Ghostbusters the ones letting the ghosts in? There's a bunch of crappy mini-games. Here the idea is, who can make the freakiest face by tapping directions on the D-pad? That's a new one. Then there's a game where you connect pipes. Wow, does this look like fun? No, it isn't. Even Mario and Luigi, who were plumbers, never had to bother with this type of shit. But the worst is the stairs. At random, they'll flatten and send you sliding back down. Motherfuckers. And it keeps happening over and over, with no pattern or predictability. You fuck! Bill and Ted on Game Boy. It's sort of an old school arcade style thing where you just go around collecting orbs and dodging a bunch of Abe Lincolns. There's almost nothing to say, but in this case, that's a good thing. Because this is such a sharp contrast to the NES version. I can't think of any other example where a Game Boy version is far superior. There's more. Alien 3 on Game Boy turns Ripley into a stick figure, or maybe it's an alien, I don't know. So all I did in this game was walk around like an idiot. There's ladders everywhere, but you can't go up any. Found some alien eggs, touched them, and died. Lots of people walking around, can't talk to them or anything, no hints, no direction, no map. This belongs to a certain genre, strategy guide seller games. But Alien 3 fared a little better on the Super Nintendo. The graphics are good, the music is tense, and the control is smooth. You have a variety of weapons. You can select different missions like save prisoners or destroy alien eggs. Though the enemies come a little too often, and I wish there was a map. Something like Super Metroid would have helped. There's a blueprint system that you find on the terminals on the wall, but anytime you're lost, you have to make it back over there. Kind of like stopping at a gas station before GPS was invented. The best part is the game over voice.
Game over, man!
Which was from Aliens, not Alien 3, but who cares? Well, here's one that I missed in my Arnold Schwarzenegger Games episode, True Lies. It's one of my favorites of his, not just for the action, but also the humor. The game retains some of that humor, like when you shoot an innocent civilian, your assistant, the Tom Arnold character, gives you shit about it. Also, when you die, he says things like, "You only have one life left," as if he's witnessing you die and resurrect. But wait, what do you do when a civilian's blocking the path? He won't move! But when you fail, this happens. Now that's what you call a game over. It really does emphasize the magnitude of the defeat. Boom! You lost, motherfucker! Unfortunately, the game is very monotonous. Even though the scenery changes from the mansion, the mall, the park, it's all the same top-down, run around and shoot crap. When you think of the movie, you remember the bathroom fight, the horse on the roof chase, the bridge scene, the Jamie Lee Curtis strip dance. I wonder how that would have worked. It does have the plane finale, but it's just an automatic cutscene. Oh, and of course there had to be a Game Boy version. Here, Arnold looks like a pill from Dr. Mario with a gun. It's the same thing, shoot bad guys, but avoid civilians. And anytime you shoot, you're guaranteed to get shot back. It's better to just walk past them. All in all, it's the same as the Super Nintendo version, just shittier.
You're fired.
LJN even made games based on movies you might not remember, like Warlock. The graphics and animation are pretty nice. The gameplay is basic enough, run to the right, blast everything in sight. It's fine for a bit, till you realize how resilient these enemies are. Stay down, you zombie fuck! Stay down! Then you run into these archers. Die, you fuck bugger! And every time you get hit, you get knocked back half a screen. Look how long it takes to beat this guy. Die! 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 Oh my god, when are they gonna die? When are they gonna die? Oh my god. Then these gargoyles keep coming at me, and they take just as long to kill. Every enemy is like a mini-boss battle. The control is clumsy, you can't attack and move at the same time. When you die, it sends you back to the title screen. Instead of simply continuing, you have to go to Preparations. That brings up a menu with the password option. You enter the password, and then wait through a cutscene with a book. And being a magic wizard and all, I can't see how water kills you. And it's not clear how I'm supposed to make this jump anyway. Hey, I got a magic trick. LJN even made a game based on the '95 swashbuckling adventure Cutthroat Island, which, according to the Guinness World Records as of 2012, was the biggest box office failure of all time. Oh, and then add LJN, it's the perfect storm. So the first level is okay. It's just a dumb beat-em-up game with cartoonish graphics. The animation is good, there's a variety of sword swipes and rolls you can perform. It's not bad, really. Until you get to the next level. Now you're in a wooden cart ramming into enemies. You just mow them all down. Seems simple enough, but if you hit a rock or a tree, you die instantly. There's no death animation. It just fades to black and restarts the stage. So if you blink, you might not even notice what happened. Like when I hit this guy, I had no idea how I lost. But it turns out you need to avoid him. But how the hell was I supposed to know that? You run over everyone else. Why not him? But now, let's get into the sports games, which is a little bit of a problem for me because I don't know anything about basketball or baseball or football. So first is NBA All-Star Challenge on Super Nintendo. From what I saw on the menu screen, it's only a bunch of one-on-one games. Graphics are good, the reflections on the floor are a nice touch. But this is no NBA Jam. Not very intuitive, and of course I don't know how to play basketball, but you'd think I'd be able to figure out a video game. Goaltending, blocking, traveling, what the fuck? I suck so much at this, it's embarrassing. I'm making Michael Jordan look bad. Imagine if he was actually being controlled by some shitty video game nerd. Then there's a Game Boy version. What am I supposed to do with this? It's the same game, but even more awkward, with worse graphics. And listen to it. They tried to emulate the sounds of the shoes squeaking on the floor. Well, they tried. The ball dribbling sounds like farting against a sheet of aluminum. But if that weren't enough, the Game Boy game got a sequel, NBA All-Star Challenge 2. Yeah, an exclusive sequel for the Game Boy. Now, this one's got to be a massive improvement because why else release a second portable game? It's the same thing! Okay, they added audience in the background. Well, that makes it worth it, because that's what you want. Who wants to play a fucking game with no crowd? That's something I'd buy again, just to have the new special audience background edition. Or they could have just had the crowd in the first game! I was even flipping through the player stats, just to see if anything else changed. If Larry Bird gained a pound or some shit. Oh shit, his PPG average went up. I want to know that shit. Somebody's weight changes, buy it again. Somebody changes team, buy it again. Somebody's score changes, buy it again. New paint on the court, buy it again. Ah, sports! Ah! Now we're into baseball games, and there's already been enough baseball games on NES, but LJN has to throw their hat in the ring, or some other baseball pun if I had one. So first there was Major League Baseball on NES. More like major shit. Whoa. Slow down here. What am I looking at? The entire screen is just a wall of numbers and shit. Select first batter, okay. Select second batter, okay. Select third batter, fourth batter. Oh, can't select that one. So I got up to 8 batters, and now it starts asking me to select pitchers. Look at this. I've never seen more stats and information outside of Dungeons and Dragons. Man, to be into sports, you gotta be a nerd. Okay, so when I finally get to the actual game, it's pretty much what you'd expect. It's baseball. Batting, I have no luck. I mean, what exactly is the hitbox in a baseball game? But when I'm pitching, the other team hits almost everything. It's going, it's gone! The crowd goes flashing in colors! Then we come to Roger Clemens' MVP Baseball, which was a trilogy, including an NES, Game Boy, and Super Nintendo version, which is often the case with LJN. They put the same game on all 3, so you'd have the choice of shit light, shit medium, and pure grain ultra shit, which is the Game Boy one. You take one look at it, there it is. It's baseball. Move on. The NES version is the same thing with better graphics, but the one thing about these games that sets them apart from Major League Baseball is that after the ball is hit, instead of going to an overhead view, it goes to a third-person view, and whenever the switch happens, it's a little disorienting at first. And as far as batting goes, I never got the chance because I started off pitching, and the other team hits everything. So it's like an eternal, never-ending game of baseball, which to me is the very definition of hell. The Super Nintendo version, aside from having better graphics and an impressive opening cutscene, is no better. It's the same game with the same problems. I get confused every time the perspective switches, and I never get a chance to bat. Charlie Brown would have better luck. And I'm not kidding, the other team hits every fucking ball. Fuck. Mother the fuck! Now it's time for motherfucking football with just plain ass NFL. Not as blunt as football on Atari, but simple just the same. No Madden, no year, none of that shit. As natural as a nature trail. Undiluted, genuine, uncontaminated, straighter to the point than the cone nose of a fresh expelled cat turd. Not named after the amount of yards the field is or the length it takes for your dog to walk to take a shit. Not named after the TV channel or a college or the type of skin on the ball. No Montana, Colorado, ESPN, go fuck yourself. Just plain as perfection, as undisputable as death. 3 letters, up your ass, NFL! Ow! Okay, the game goes on for 2 seconds, and now I'm stuck on some kind of countdown. What's going on here? Anything I press, the referee stops the counter. Delay of game? I can't believe I'm saying this. But just let me play some fucking football! Have the decency to let me begin my suffering! So once again, the game starts up for 2 seconds. Who am I? Which team? Where's the ball? And before I have a chance to mentally process anything, I'm back to this damn timer. Of course I know nothing about football, but don't you think I'd at least be able to mess around and figure out something? Next is NFL Quarterback Club on Super Nintendo. Okay, let's see here. Pick the game type. Preseason, new season, who cares? Rookie, whatever. Teams, home or away. Oh, you have to pick weather now? Pick the weather? How far could you possibly go? Oh, the decisions in life. Should you go to college? Should you get married, divorced? Should you move into an apartment or a house? Should you have a kid or adopt or have a pet? But then comes a question greater than any in the history of human civilization, a question that concerns the very ground on which we stand. It's the fundamental surface of the warrior's trial, from the ancient colosseums to the arena fields. It's the very vegetation that grows beneath. It's the cycle of life. It's a pivotal decision that will forever alter the course of time. It's humanity's most critical judgment. The fate of all existence depends on it. And now, at this major turning point, as you stand at the burning crossroads under the light of God and ask yourself, what'll it be? Grass or turf? That's a very important decision. Grass or turf, man? Grass! Okay, so after I picked the grass, the game eventually started for about 2 seconds. Sorry, got a little carried away there. Anyway, the game sucks. Should have picked turf. Then there was NFL Quarterback Club on Game Boy, which was a totally different game where you're running from a side angle through like an obstacle course, and then a view from behind as you throw balls at targets. So if football games weren't enough, you also have football practice games. Then there's NFL Quarterback Club 2, which doesn't even have a 2 on the title screen. Yeah, this was a real headache to sort all this out. And the game, well, it's the same as Super Nintendo. Well, that'll get straightened out. Anyway, we already took care of the LJN sports games. So next, let's check out the LJN Marvel games, which consist of Spider-Man, X-Men, and the Punisher. First up, the Spider-Man games. Luckily, I already covered some of them. But there's more. The Game Boy version had sequels. Oh yes, here comes Spider-Man 2. I can't blame myself for missing it. It looks similar, but the controls are very different, especially the way the web works. You gotta stick onto things and sort of like just swing yourself around. It's kind of like Spider-Man. Yeah, it's a good attempt, unlike the first Game Boy game, where the web was automatic. Here it's more calculated. Until you run out, now you're on your own. So you go around fighting enemies, climbing walls. It's your usual friendly neighborhood Spider-Man game. What's this, a dead end? Oh, literally a dead end. Well, I'll know next time not to touch the electric fence. Well, damn. What's next? Spider-Man 3 on Game Boy? Yeah. Who would have guessed this would be a trilogy? Spider-Man 3, Invasion of the Spider Slayers. Oh boy. When it starts, you're just running around a park beating people up. Then you reach a dead end, at least one that doesn't kill you this time. So you're just running back and forth, taking out enemies until finally an arrow appears at the bottom and lets you leave the stage. Next thing, I'm fighting a xenomorph alien. I mean, it looks exactly like Alien. Then there's some weird boss. Is it a bird? A robot claw? I don't know, but it's the shyest boss in game history. Won't come anywhere inside the screen. So fuck this. Moving on to the Super Nintendo, we have Spider-Man and X-Men in Arcade's Revenge. At first I thought it meant the arcade machine was going to get revenge, but it's actually the name of the villain. You start out as Spider-Man, and I don't mean to say everything always sounds like farts, but when your spidey senses go off, just listen. The goal is to collect these little things in a specific order, as if just fighting your way to the end of the stage wouldn't have been enough. So the game just started, and already it's an annoying maze. At least there's arrows to tell you where to go. So I'm just gonna follow, wait, which way now?
Left, right, down, up, left, right, left, down, up.
The arrows can't even make up their minds. After you clear the level, you get a character select screen. Each character has their own stage. Wolverine's fighting clowns, Jack-in-the-Boxes with machine guns, and toy soldiers from Wizard of Oz. Storm's level is an underwater stage. I figured she'd be flying, not swimming. And here's Cyclops' stage. What the fuck? The floor's electric? That scream is hilarious, by the way. And look at that silly kick. So to avoid the floor, always make sure to ride the cart. There we go, all good. And if you wanted Arcade's Revenge on the go, well, here's the Game Boy version. Same game, same old shit. Nothing more to say. Except that wall climbing. Oh man, get up there! Get up there! Damn it! Ah! There was another one on Super Nintendo just called Spider-Man, though it's based on the animated series. Gotta love that song. It's another action game. It's colorful and appealing at first. Love Spider-Man's walk cycle, walking like a tough guy. Reminds me of Henry Hawk. You can even punch computers. Make them explode. Yeah, that's how I feel whenever my computer gives me shit. What's this? Am I standing on an NES console? Anyway, you just gotta go around fighting enemies. Seems all fine and dandy till you come to this barricade. Motherfucker. I tried kicking it over and over till finally I managed to knock it down. Persistence and luck. But there is one more LJN Spider-Man game on Super Nintendo that I covered already. But anyway, let's move on to the X-Men games. Now, there were two on NES by LJN, and thankfully, I covered these as well. But they also made a Wolverine game on Super Nintendo, Adamantium Rage. There's no color scheme. Everything looks like a mess. The controls take time to get used to. Any simple button command sends me flying, jumping, and somersaulting all over the place like a maniac. It's a confusing maze with background doors that you can't go in. I keep getting lost. And look how jittery Wolverine's movement is. He only goes fast and still. Two-geared diarrhea. And falling through platforms? Oh yeah, gotta have that. But at least you can dig at the floor, like a cat burying its shit. Everything I press does some stupid move, and I don't know where I'm supposed to go because everything looks the same. Right about now, I'm feeling some adamantium rage. Next up, The Punisher. I once made Pat play this game, but I've never actually reviewed it myself. But that's because there's almost nothing to say. It's just a crosshair point-and-shoot game. It's so bland, it doesn't even have music most of the time. As a rental in 1990, it wasn't bad as a time killer, just blasting away everything on screen, just as you're blasting away your brain cells. If it moves, shoot it. If it doesn't move, shoot it. During the boss fight, you can use your fists and feet, and after you kill him, it says RIP. Wow. In video games, you don't think about all the people you kill. You take it for granted. But here comes a game that reminds you of the mortality, to rub it in your face and say, this man is dead and you killed him. Hope you're happy. Then came the Punisher Ultimate Payback on Game Boy. As expected, it's much more primitive. But the shocking thing, it has music. So that's one major advantage over the NES version. You have to avoid shooting innocent people, even though it just takes some life away. I mean, you'd think there'd be bigger consequences than that. And when an enemy takes a hostage, you just gotta watch your aim. And then Spider-Man comes in. Oh, Spider-Man's in this game. It's the Game Boy cinematic universe. And that covers the Marvel games. Well, let's get to the wrestling games next. Now, there were 3 on NES brandishing the LJN logo. And thankfully, I've already talked about them. One funny thing I forgot to mention was that in both WrestleMania Challenge and King of the Ring, you can play as yourself. What the hell is that supposed to mean? It's not like you can customize it to actually look like yourself. King of the Ring also had a Game Boy version. It's similar to the NES version, but even more awkward and with Atari sounds. WWF, more like WTF. WWF Superstars was a big improvement. Better graphics, has music during the match, but whenever the characters get close, their bodies sort of fuse together. It's weird. Then there was WWF Superstars 2. Hey, it's on the title screen and they're already wrestling. It's impressive they included the wrestlers' theme songs. You have the option to fight in a cage match, which I don't really see the point of. But hey, each Game Boy version is an improvement over the last. Next up, we have a trilogy on Super Nintendo. In my wrestling episode, I trashed all 3 of these games, but I have to admit, these were fun. The first was WWF Super WrestleMania. It had a great character lineup, and seeing the faces all digitized was new and exciting. It gave you the option of fighting one-on-one or tag team, and you had a variety of moves to pull off. You could jump off the ropes and even fight outside the ring. It introduced a grapple system where you gotta tap the button real fast to perform a move. So if you're playing with a friend, it's all about who has the fastest thumbs. And that's when it gets crazy. You gotta fucking tap that shit like grease lightning. And if you're both the same speed, it'll go on forever. Yeah, you haven't experienced anything until you've been in a fucking thumb war over LJN wrestling games on Super Nintendo. Yeah! The second in the trilogy was WWF Royal Rumble. This is the one I used to play the most as a kid. I always remember how when you flip through the character screens, their theme song plays. I had never heard such awesome synthesized metal coming through my Super Nintendo. Sometimes I'd cycle through these tunes and just let it play in my room. Yeah. The game itself functions like the last one, but improved with the option of the Royal Rumble, of course. This is where it gets nuts, having all those characters fill the ring, unleashing pure chaos and pandemonium. And if you get thrown out, you can still sit back and watch the rest of the fight. The third in the trilogy was WWF Raw, and wow, what a trippy opening. At first I thought the game was glitching. So this version is like Royal Rumble on crack. Now there's mega moves and finishing moves. I don't know, but at a certain point I think enough is enough. The computer opponents are much harder, I have to say. Overall, it's fun, crazy wrestling action, and the chair hit never gets old. That's my favorite wrestling trope. There just happens to be a chair there. So might as well hit somebody. Only problem, they usually don't want to come near. Come on, anybody? Who wants to get hit by a chair? But then, of course, there was WWF Raw on Game Boy. Going from the Super Nintendo to these tiny characters on a portable screen, yeah. The fixed camera angle with a wide view of the ring doesn't help. The grapple button mashing is way more tiring on the D-pad, so I say fuck it. And that covers the wrestling games. Alright, let's finish the LJN library. But before we end this, it's worth mentioning they also made a gaming accessory, the Rollin' Rocker, which I already covered. But now, let's get into all the miscellaneous games, the LJN leftovers. First up is Pictionary. That's right, the word-guessing drawing game now on your NES. Seems like a good idea, actually. How could you screw that up? The free drawing game, where you can just doodle whatever you want, is so bad it almost rivals the LJN video art. It controls like garbage. The way you have to rotate the tool around and how it speeds away like a runaway rocket makes you wish you had an Etch-a-Sketch instead. And the erase sound effect. I think I've heard that before. Is that from Ghostbusters? Now that's epic. When you play the main game, it becomes immediately clear that this is not the Pictionary you'd expect. There's a game on the side that has an astronaut kicking around balls, or firefighters catching people out a window who won't wait their turn, or a guy carrying crates. Don't you hate it when you're trying to stack crates and frog heads keep bothering you? The idea is to last as long as possible in these mini-games, as the more points you get, the more of the picture on the right gets uncovered. When you lose the mini-game, you're left to solve the word for the picture, even if the picture is nowhere near complete. So I've been able to guess many of them, but when you can barely see much of it, what's the point?
How am I supposed to know what that is? How about fuck you?
One game I remember seeing as a kid was Gotcha, the sport. When I saw that cover, I was intrigued because I thought that red splash was blood, but it's actually a paintball capture the flag style game. Thank God the Punisher's not playing. The interesting thing is that the game was part of a marketing franchise of toy guns for kids that shot washable paint. They were made by LJN's Entertech division. The other weird thing is that it's sorta based on the comedy action film Gotcha from '85. I'd put this in the movie category, but it's such a loose adaptation.
So it uses the NES zapper and controller at the same time. So use the D-pad to go left and right, and the zapper to fire, obviously.
All you do is blast people with your paintballs and try to capture the flag.
Well, it's not that great. But what do you expect from an NES Zapper game made by LJN that's sorta kinda maybe based on a movie and that's part of a line of paintball guns for kids?
Surf's up, dudes! It's TNC Surf Design. I've reviewed this one in rhyme before, if you remember that. But let's take another look. There's two sections, skateboarding and surfing. The skateboarding is self-explanatory. You just gotta dodge everything while trying to make the fastest time. And I don't understand the hitboxes or anything. Look at this. I just fell into the side of a hole.
Man, I could never skateboard, even in a game. I mean, skateboarding's like some kind of high-level wizardry. Tony Hawk and shit. It's fucking crazy, man. Skate or die. For me, it's the latter. Ooh, that's gotta hurt. Ow! Ooh!
The surfing stage is one that goes down as one of the unholiest of ass fests. The controls I couldn't figure out as a kid, and I can't figure them out now. You just keep getting sucked into this wave. Not to mention, what's up with the choice of characters? The gorilla looks like some kind of generic cartoon, but the other one,
Now, hang on. Somebody decided that should be a character. Yeah, we have this rad surfing game. What kind of character should we have? I don't know. How about a cat in a tuxedo?
But it's not just a cat. It's a man's body with a cat's head. Anyway, man, this game sucks. Wish I could be that guy casually floating at the bottom. He's got the life. But not me. I can't relax. I gotta flip some shit at the top of the waves here. Fuck! 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 Oh, wow. Oh, yes, yes! Ah! But But hey, guess what? There was a sequel, TNC 2, Thrilla Safari. So the plot concerns Thrilla Gorilla.
Wait, a plot?
Wow, they really put a lot more thought into this one. So Thrilla's girlfriend, his human girlfriend named Barbie Bikini, is captured by a witch doctor. So it's the standard rescue the girl bullshit. The stages alternate between skateboarding and surfing. It's more action-based than the previous game. You race through, fighting enemies and jumping hurdles.
Oh my God, he exploded! Let's see that again.
It's 1,000 times more playable than the other game, but fuck them both.
Everybody's heard about the nerd. Nerd, 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 nerd's the word. Nerd, 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 nerd's the word. Nerd, 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 nerd's the word. Don't you know about the nerd? Everybody knows that the nerd is the word. Surfing nerd!
There's also Crash Dummies on Game Boy. So this one's just a bunch of mini games. You start out falling from a building and are supposed to crash into as many things as possible on the way down.
Was that supposed to happen? It's a game where you're a crash dummy who crashes into shit. How do you know when you die?
The next screen says, "That was boring." Yep, I'll leave it at that. Then there was the Super Nintendo version, a simple side-scroller. With 16 bits, you'd think they'd shift the quality to the next gear, but instead, they cut the corners. Fair gameplay takes a back seat to this half-ass accident that'll let the air out of your tires till you crash and burn. There's also a Genesis version, which was identical. It was typical of Acclaim to put the same game on both consoles while only putting the LJN stamp on the Super Nintendo version. But this was a rare case on the Genesis. Even though the LJN logo is nowhere to be seen on the box or cartridge, it does appear on the copyright screen, and to my knowledge, is the only Genesis game where the LJN name ever appeared. Since these games are so identical, I was on the fence whether it should be counted twice.
If not, that would bring our total number of 67 LGN games down to 66. Or would you say an identical game half counts? 0.5? Or would you say it more than half counts? A 0.6? There's 66.6 LJN games. Fuckers! Come on, knock it off!
Then there was a game called Revolution X on Super Nintendo, which was originally an arcade. The plot is some crazy shit. Some dictatorship called the New World Order bans all video games and media.
Can they ban Superman 64, Dark Castle, Action 52? Should have banned all these fucking games.
You must battle New Order forces to get backstage at Club X to meet Aerosmith, where together you will begin the revolution?
Aerosmith! The band Aerosmith is in this game!
You'd think because they were such a big part, they would have appeared more prominently on the box art. Not just the boring Revolution X logo.
Their music is all over it, and I didn't even know the Super Nintendo was capable of emulating those songs with such clarity. Just listen.
And if that's not enough, Steven Tyler gives you mission briefings.
If you're watching this, then they've taken over. It's up to you now. Find our car and stop the New Order. Remember, music is the weapon.
Steven Tyler is talking to me through my Super Nintendo. This blurs the line between awesome and ridiculous. It's a game where you start a revolution by using music, love and peace. No. By fucking murdering everyone!
This can't be real. You just shoot everything. All you do in this game is destroy. You even shoot bad guys in a strip club, and the dancers keep dancing. I ain't seeing this, man. The arcade even has blood.
Now we're living on the edge. Janie's got a gun, all right. Sweet emotion, more like sweet ammunition. That's what they should have done. If you're gonna have an Aerosmith shoot 'em up game, you might as well play it up. Could have had a whole soundtrack.
Revolution X!
It's Revolution X, the hot new album from Aerosmith, packed with songs to take down the New World Order to.
Love is an epic slaughter, shooting them up when they hit the ground. Love is an epic slaughter. Wah, wah, dude looks like he's dead now. Dude, looks like he's dead now. Scream on, scream on, scream on.
Revolution X, order now.
Hurry!
And so in '95, Acclaim performed an exorcism on the LJN name, and so it was gone for 5 years. Like a demon seeking a new host, it found another console to invade, the Dreamcast, and thus emerged the final appearance of the unholy sign, the old rainbow in the dark.
Look at that logo in full Dreamcast glory.
You know, I'm gonna miss reviewing LJN games. No, I'm not.
The game is Spirit of Speed, a racing game which takes place in 1937. So I guess maybe if you're really into classic cars of that time period, it might sort of be appealing. But geez, give me Mario Kart or F-Zero any day. Even as far as realistic racing games go, this is more like early PlayStation or N64 than Dreamcast. Spirit of Speed my ass, more like Spirit of Slow. The cars handle like you're dragging 20 tons of bowling balls and donkey dung. You like trudging through farmland as dull green and gray wash over your senses? And 10 laps? What, are you kidding me? This is something you play if you want to go to sleep.
There's almost nothing to say about it. I can't work with this. But you know what? I just completed the LJN library.
Farewell, you fuck.
All these years, I've been trashing these games. But maybe I haven't been fair. Maybe it wasn't the game designer's faults. Maybe if you haven't tried something yourself, you don't know how fucking hard it is. It wasn't their fault. I forgive them. This game, I forgive. And this game, I forgive. And this game... This game sucks.